Welcome back to Chaplain Otto Ministries. I'm Otto, and today is our third episode of a three-part series that we've been doing with Tony Manzek, aka Springer, a United States Marine, a Vietnam veteran, and a longtime motorcycle rider. If you haven't got to see episodes 1 and 2, you definitely want to check those out. We go over his history of joining the Marine Corps, what it was like in Vietnam, and also coming home. Today we're going to learn a little bit about what it was like for him in the motorcycle world. He was the second boss of the Black Pistons when they came to the United States, a charter member for them, and now he rides with the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. We're going to get to hear about that as well, and also how he helps Chaplain Otto Ministries in the prison. If you like this video, we are going to be doing more interviews like this, so make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Enjoy the show. I know you're a Marine and that you're a proud Marine, but one thing that I also know is that you are a biker and you have quite the story to tell. And I mean, me knowing you and being in the Columbus, Ohio area and guys from different clubs that I've got to meet, like I know how highly respected you are amongst these guys, especially guys that you used to ride with. I always thought motorcycles were awesome growing up. My uncle had a Harley. I'm like, man, I'm going to get a Harley someday and beyond the law. And that's about the Hells Angels. And I was like, man, like motorcycle clubs are sweet. Like this looks, I had that, mentality, but right. You lived that. And I'm just curious, when in your life did that start to come about?
I mean, I was riding bikes when I was 15. Back then, you could get a temporary or you can ride on the streets when you're 15. Right down the street from where I lived, and I lived in north end of Columbus, was the Outlaws Clubhouse. I got to meet some of the kids, the Outlaws kids there, and they were my age, 15, 16 years old.
So yeah, just regular friends.
Yeah, and so I was with them. I got to know their dads and stuff and their moms, a little bit. Not real. I got to know the general workings of the clubs, the way they did things. Now they wouldn't allow us into their parties and stuff because we were kids, but we did get to see a lot. That started me up, like you were saying, it kind of interested you,
Yeah.
But it also, I think that was another reason I went in the military too, because of some of the illegal stuff that was going on. Not so much with the club, but with some of the kids that I ran around with. When I got out of high school, which that was, I almost didn't do that. I almost just quit when I was a senior, but I graduated, got my diploma, the whole thing. Then I saw what was going on, and that's when I wanted to go in the military. I wanted to get away from it, see if it would help. While I was in the Marines, I was in California. I did some running out there with some clubs. I ain't going to mention no names. One I got in particular good with, and some of the guys, we became friends in a short period that I was out there. I would rent a bike from the Harley dealership on weekends and we'd go riding. After I got to know these guys, they would let me ride their bikes sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that was nice. And then, then I went, got back here and this and that, and then went to Hawaii, and there wasn't much riding out in Hawaii. I got stationed in South Carolina, and I rode the whole time I was there. I went down to Daytona a lot, got to meet a lot of people down there. I went down to Daytona for 3 years. A couple guys that I rode with, we rode down there. We take a 72-hour pass and go down to Bike Week and stay down there on the beach and stuff, and just had a great time. So I met a lot of people down there, got in some of the clubs there, got to know people here and there. I didn't join anybody. I'm not a joiner. I never was. Came back to Columbus. I had a couple Hondas. I didn't have a Harley for a while. I had a 750. I had a Gold Wing. Then I bought a new Gold Wing. But I rode with guys, and they didn't care what you rode, really. The clubs do, but, guys in the North End, we just all rode together all the time. And then it came up 2000. They wanted to start a club in North End of Columbus called Satan Syndicate. And it was all North End guys. There were about 54 of us. And I went in and joined them. Of course, I had to get a Harley then.
So was that considered an MC?
Yeah, that was the Satan Syndicate was a club they were basically an outlaw support group back in the day, the older days, and they retired their patch. And the guys that were in that started it up were retired outlaws, wanted to bring it back, and they did. That lasted about 6 months until the Dayton Outlaws said, no, you can't do that because you have retired outlaws in your club. and they are not allowed to join another MC. That time is when the Black Pistons were started in Germany in 2001. 2001, we got our first patch in Columbus. We were the first chapter in the United States.
Columbus was the first chapter for the Black Pistons.
We're the mother chapter of the Black Pistons, yeah. So,
and that's considered an MC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are still a support club for the Outlaws. I joined, we patched over. So I went from Satan Syndicates to Black Pistons, and I stayed with them for 10 years.
What's that like, a patch over?
Oh, it's just they take one patch off your back and put another one on.
So you didn't have to prospect or...
No. The only ones that did anything were the ones that were down in Daytona. Tommy Lee and a few of the others that were down there were the original ones that first patched over. And then when we came back to Columbus, we just all did it, as a group.
Gotcha.
Guys that wanted to do it. Yeah, I was in there. I was a Black Piston for going on 10 years. I was the second boss of the chapter after Slim Jim left and started his own chapter up north in Fredericksburg. Yeah, then I stayed with them, but things were happening with my boy that I needed to take care of, and I just couldn't do both. So I got out. I don't regret getting out. I mean, I missed the time. There's a lot of fun times. Yeah. And even Nance will tell you that. She had a great time too. We had, some good times, good riding, good parties, a lot of different things that we did.
Did you feel like, because I know like coming out of the military for me, like I felt like I lost that camaraderie and brotherhood.
I had it with the North in the North End, because a lot of us rode together. So we had that there, but it wasn't like we had a patch or anything. But it was even better. It was more like in the military because you were structured more.
Yeah.
Riding together is nice, but there's no structure there. You know that when you ride with a bunch of people. But when you're in a club that has a patch, you have rules and regulations you go by. You have people that are over you, so it's like, you got your generals down, what I'm saying, just like the military. So it's a little more, and the people help each other.
Yeah.
They do. So yeah, it's more like something that you lost coming out of the military, you gain in the MC world. A lot of the guys are military that are in. There's a heck of a lot. And the ones that ain't are in our group because we're all military. And they'll tell you the same thing. They miss the military. You do, especially if you're in combat.
Yeah.
If you're in combat, you really miss it when you get out. That's the most intense time you're ever going to spend in your life. And bullets are going over your head, or things are blowing up, or you're seeing your buddies, get shot and you're helping them or whatever. That's intense. It's very emotional. It's hard to get over. A lot of people don't get over it, like I said, with PTSD and everything. That's the reason. PTSD is caused by more than just being in combat. PTSD, one of the major things that it happens is the anticipation of combat. I know there's times that you have downtime, that you're not doing nothing. There's no mortars coming in. You're not going out on patrols, maybe weeks at a time. Or it could even be days. I don't know how long you guys went. There was weeks that nothing happened. You're waiting for it, and you're waiting for it. And it keeps building up and building up and building up. And that's where you get your PTSD. Not only military, but your cops do that, fire department. Anybody that's in that type of work, they're waiting until it happens. And then when it happens, you release yourself. But that's over and over again. And that's what PTSD is. People have so much problems. It's the waiting. Most of your civilians out in the world don't know nothing about it. Everyday person. They go out, go to work, they come home, they go drink, they come home, they go to work, they go out. That's
they complain.
Yeah, and they bitch about everything. But they have no stress in their life that way. Oh, they have stress. They got to have money for this or whatever. Or their wives are leaving them for 2 boyfriends or whatever it is. But, things like that. But none of this serious, stuff that the military or first responders, have. That's, something that we all got to get fixed up. But yeah, a lot of people don't understand what that PTSD is. And I was told by a psychiatrist, that's the biggest thing is the waiting.
So do you feel like being a part of an MC helped cope with that?
It helps with everything because you got to release. First of all, you got your friends.
Yeah.
That you're riding. So most of the time you can rely, it's like anything else. You can rely on your friends. If your bike breaks down, they'll come and get you. Just like with you when you came and got me. There's other times, that people have helped me or we've helped or whatever. So you got that. If you're in a fight or something, you're not going to be the only one there. If your buddies are going to help you, they're going to jump in with you. Better, you know what I'm saying? They better help you. So you don't have no worries about that. The worries, I guess, it's that group there. It's that group feeling that they're going to help you if you need it. You're going to help them, and you're going to party together and ride together.
So what are some highlights of being a member of the Black Pistons, or anything that you can share? It's a memory or something that you'll hold on to forever.
I can't tell you. I was going to say something, but no, you can't tell you. That wouldn't be appropriate. It's a different lifestyle. It's something different that a lot of people don't know about. It's fun. I had some great time. Like I said, I had great parties. Met a shitload of people.
And people that, even though you're out of the MC and in good standing with them, I know that you see friends all the time,
right.
Or you know so many people. And I mean, not even from this state, it just trickles all over. And right. I've heard a couple stories and some runs and some really cool things and people that you've got to meet along the way. And
sure.
So it's safe to say, if you could do it all over again and become a Black Piston, would you do that all over again?
Yeah, I would still do that, because that helped me learn the MCs firsthand. I knew about them and I ran with them, but there's a difference there. If you don't have a patch on your back, a lot of things they don't tell you, no matter what club it is. I don't care if it's the HAs or it's the Outlaws, if it's the Black Pistons, any club. There's a lot of things they won't tell you, and they're not supposed to. And that's fine until you get that patch on your back and you run with people and you learn what's going on. You don't know what's going on. Sure, you ride with them, but that's just one aspect of it. There's more to it than that. And then you get that patch and you run with them and you do things and it changes your thinking. It'll change a lot of things in your life. Change your drinking habits. It'll change whatever else you do. Might get you divorced. It's whatever you wanted to do,
but you stayed married throughout.
Sure.
Okay, so you're not one of the statistics of getting divorced for being in an MC.
No, there's a long story in that, and you're not going to hear it. No, everything's cool. Yeah, we had a good time. Like I said, me and her, we both had good times in the club, good parties, good times. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, it's an experience. I'm not saying everybody should go through it, and everybody that rides a bike shouldn't go through it. But if you think you might want to try it, go ahead. It's not going to hurt you. Prospect. Go run around with them.
Yeah, because there's ways that you can hang around or whatever and see if it's something that you want to be a part of.
I mean, if you know the process is very simple. You hang around. You get to know these guys. They get to know you. They get to know how you ride, what you're all about, what your life's about. And then they'll ask you to, hey, you want to join our club? You prospect. Now, being a prospect's a little bit more because you do a lot of stuff. Some clubs are really rough. Some clubs ain't as bad. But you have to do things. You 10 bar in your clubhouses. You clean the places up. You help with the food. You help clean. You do guard duty. And, there's a lot of things you do. And that's just to see if you can handle it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. They treat you like, some clubs will treat you like shit. Some just treat you normally, but, you still see if you can handle it. And then you prospect for a period of time. You can run from one period to another. You prospect for a while, and then finally they get a full member vote to vote you in, and then you get your patch. Now, I'll tell you one thing. It's easier to get your patch than to keep it because it's so easy to lose it in any club. The Outlaws will tell you that. Black Pistons the same way. You can lose that patch very easy. It's hard to keep. Once you learn the rules, you just do them. But most people don't know the rules until they...
So you never had to prospect, not even for what was it, the first one, the Satan?
No. We started that club. We started a chapter up, and we were all charter members.
Okay.
And just like Black Pistons, I was a charter member.
No wonder you like playing the lottery. You got to skip being a hang-around and a prospect.
Yeah. So I didn't have to do any of that. With our association, there's no prospecting, which to me, I can understand don't prospect, but I wish more guys would hang around with us before they turn in their paperwork. I've been in this club, it'll be 4 years in June. The last time I counted sanctioned events and events that I've gone to, and that's including nationals and regional. I've gone to 56 events. That's including the one we went to last week. Between now and June, I'm going to 6 more events that I know of that I'm going to go to. I'll have way over 60.
I joined in 2017 originally.
Right.
I got kicked out because I lost my license. Because I lost my license, I had no way to get to a meeting.
Sure.
Now, my first experience in the CVMA wasn't like what I saw when I was in Hawaii, because when I was in Hawaii, when we came back from deployment, I have a squad leader. He's from Texas. His road name's Ratchet. They invited us out to the bar. I'd never heard of the combat vet. We're hanging out with them and they've got their biker vests on and everything. And he was like, this is only for us. He's like, you got to get a bike. And I was like, man, like I wanted to be a part of that. And I saw them together and the camaraderie. And then I come back to States, and within the first couple months, I was lost chasing something, and I ended up at a bar. It kind of makes me emotional thinking about this, but I saw these guys and I recognized a patch. And that's the first time, like after getting out of the military, that I felt close to a brother at home. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a photo with these guys, but this was, I mean, like 2013 or 14. And what's really cool, you know, I still have this photo on my phone, and it was Eazy-E and Dump Truck and a couple of the guys that are in our chapter now.
Yeah.
More than 10 years basically went by until I realized that that was Eazy-E. But I remember I told him, I said, one day I was broke. I was an alcoholic. Right. I had no, you know, life. It sucked. But seeing them reminded me of that hope and that feeling of that camaraderie that my squad leader Ratchet had displayed the right way. And I said, someday I'm going to join. And I didn't figure out that it was Eazy-E until he asked me to do his wedding. I was blown away that it was such an honor to do his wedding. But when I first joined, I lived in just right outside of Columbus. So I was assigned to a chapter that was 2 hours almost away from where I lived. I got into the car business, and they only had meetings on Saturdays. Now, for me, that did not work. Patched in, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. They're like, yeah, our meetings are on Saturdays. And I'm like, I just got a job in the car business, and they told me I cannot take Saturdays off. I haven't even been there long enough to have PTO. I mean, throughout my entire, you know, career, which was close to 10 years, I probably took less than 7 Saturdays off in that entire period, because it's like the playoff day. Yeah. I wasn't involved. I wasn't engaged. It wasn't what I thought that it was that was displayed to me in Hawaii. And I really didn't care about it. Then I got arrested. I lost my license, and the only phone call I got was a year later to take my patch back. Now, thank God, coming to 12/1, that changed my perspective, and it gave me the opportunity to be involved because I live in Columbus. That's the backyard. They had bike nights on my day off. That was a weekday, and the chapter commander, when I came over, Chappie, which, you know, he's since left, but he asked me, he's like, what's your schedule like? And I was like, well, I volunteer in prison on the first Sunday of every month. That's something that I had been doing for a while. I was in the car business, and he's like, as long as it's not a Saturday or the first Sunday of the month, you'll be there. And I said, yeah. He's like, all right, I'll make sure that that's when the meetings happen. And every single meeting from then was the second Sunday or maybe third of the month. And he would move those around for other people. But that gave me the chance to get involved and to start caring, because when there was that stint of me living so far away, I didn't join to, you know, ride around with a patch to think. I thought I was joining camaraderie. Right. And that's not what I got at the beginning, but thank God I didn't give up. I rejoined into 12/1, which was in my backyard. From then on, I never expected to be chapter chaplain. And I remember the first time meeting you, and you know, I had seen you a couple times out at, you know, I'm like, man, who is this guy? You know, you're fun. I think some of the people that I meet at first that I end up becoming really best friends with, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like this guy. And I was just waiting for you to say something. I thought you were going to like come at me some way, or I didn't know because
Right.
I was the church goer. Can you talk about a little bit about our first conversation? Like our first real conversation other than
When they made you chaplain?
yeah.
Yeah, it was a chapter meeting. Yeah, G. Paul was the chaplain, and he was leaving for some reason.
His term had ended.
Yeah, and they decided to make you chaplain, which, well, that's cool, you know. I said, yeah, he'll be okay. What little I knew about you, I figured it'd be okay.
Yeah, I had been doing prison ministry for a little while for a different group.
And so I knew about that. And then after the chapter meeting, I went up to you and I says, hey, you know, you got a church you go to? I says, I got one.
And,
I
what?
said, yeah, I said, it's a biker church. I would like to, you know, come over and see what it's like. Yeah, I can remember you going, I was the last person you'd even think about saying something like that to you.
Shame on me.
Shows you, you know.
Yeah.
Looks ain't everything. It's not the, you know. Like
Now, to be fair, I went out to a couple bike nights, and sometimes you say some things that I love you for. You know what I mean? But shame on me for judging a book by its cover.
Right.
And I'm like, man, this guy really okay. He invited me. I've never even had heard of a biker church.
Yeah.
And you're like, wear your vest. And I'm like, man, the church. Okay, so the church that I went to and the one that I went to before that,
You had to wear a tie?
if I were to walk into that church with my vest on, security would come pat me down. And because I had seen stuff like that happen before, you know, not necessarily to bikers, but I didn't even feel comfortable wearing my vest inside of church just because of how people would look at me without knowing me. And shame on me for repeating that thought process that I've now broken free of. And it's because of you, man. Like you've pushed me a long way. This church is in the hood.
That's not the hood.
I mean, I'm from Johnstown originally, so that is considered
Columbus is the hood.
that is the hood to me. And I remember, you know, we pulled up, and I'm looking at this place, and I'm like, I asked my wife, I'm like, I mean, he said to wear my vest in there. But I want to tell you, man, and I still get emotional talking about this today. When I walked into that church, that is the most greeted, that is the most loved. And I didn't know anybody. I barely knew you.
Right.
And when I walked in there, people were like, hi, welcome. And, you know, it's a small church, older community, people from all different types of like backgrounds and experiences. I remember sitting there, and the octagon is what I like to call that, just with how it's shaped and everything. Right. And there's that big cross that's hanging down. And I'm like looking around this. Now this is like year 6 for me, following God and hearing and learning. And I just felt like God was saying, like, you're going to be here. And I'm like looking up at this cross, and I'm like, what? Like here? And not,
it's not like you expected.
Not what I expected. And I'm not saying that in like a bad way, but no. I was very woven into I've been going to the same church for 4 years. The church before that, I think 2 or 3. But I was like, I moved to grow. And the first church really taught me who God is. I saw my identity in him. And then the second church taught me how to study the Bible and to become a student. And my first time going to the Chapel of Rest with you, what did you do after the service? Do you remember? You took me up to Tim, and you asked a specific question my first time there. You said, hey, this is our chapter chaplain, Otto, and I think he should come up here and preach. And I was like, whoa, hi, nice to meet you. And Tim smiled. I felt that peace. He said, okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, is this a joke? Like, no, because through my experience, and even today, you know, pastors will brush me off or, you know, overlook or nice thought.
Well, you know, Tim's got a lot of respect for me too, you know. And when I asked him about that, when we talked about it, he knew I wasn't kidding. You know, I mean, I don't just come up and say, hey, I mean, I'll introduce people and stuff like that.
I'm glad he knew that, because I was learning you.
Well, yeah. And we've known each other for 25 years or so. You know, I figured, why not? gives you a start somewhere. You sure the hell ain't going to preach in our chapter meetings. I mean, you know how the people are.
It's been a great opportunity to meet with other veterans and share my experiences and help others. Right. And when people are in the hospital, cut their grass or visit them, go get them from Florida when they have heart issues and they rode their, trike down there with their wife and never have pulled a trailer, but by the grace of God, it all worked out. But I want to say, without you being an influence in my life, like I don't know if I would have ever preached publicly or how long that process been, but I just felt like God connected us, for a very specific reason. And I preached publicly at that church. I went from only preaching in prison.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I bet you it's even helped you in prison preaching.
Absolutely.
Because in prison you got a captive audience anyways, and it's a certain type of audience. When you're out in a church, you've got everybody. You got people looking at you. You got people picking their nose. You got people doing stuff
on their phone.
Yeah, and
tapping the watch.
When you start preaching and you start seeing them look at you while you're preaching, then you're either saying something that they want to hear, or you're presenting it that they'll listen to you. The more you see that, the more you get your confidence. And when your confidence is built up, it's easier for you to preach. And you're finding that out.
The first time I read line by line, it's been awesome. And when I lost my job in February and didn't really know what I thought I was going to stay in the car business, and I started to get these ideas. And the more I was around you, and you were kind of giving me some ideas, and I was like, I think I want to help veterans. I think I want to start a ministry. And other than my wife who's upstairs right now, man, you've been my biggest support. I'm sure I've gotten annoying at times, growing through this process. But one thing that I love about you and I'm so thankful for is after every time that I've got up there to preach, like you'll tell me, hey, you did this was good, this was good. I don't know what the hell you were thinking with that. But no,
critique.
You've just been such an honest and transparent person in my life. You encourage me when I've had family that has no clue what I'm doing. Right. Or on the toughest days, when I think like it's at the end, I know I can call you. I can whine a little bit, but then you're going to wind me back up, point me in the right direction from your experience of being with Pastor Tim for 25 years or with Little Wolf Ministries and what you've learned have grown into what I'm doing today. I just want to ask you, what did you think the first time you went to prison with Chaplain Otto Ministries, Memorial Day of 2023 at Pickaway Correction?
I had a great time. I looked around. I was watching. I'm a people watcher.
Yeah.
I'm listening to one ear what everybody was saying up there on the stage, but I'm looking around. I wanted to see the reaction of the convict. If they, if they're just like diddy bopping with their head or whatever, or if they're really listening and getting something out of what was going on. And I found out watching them with this group that this is something they really wanted. When you were speaking, they were really attentive. I was blown away from them guys because I was sitting at the tables talking to these guys and just listening to their stories and giving a little bit of mine. I mean, I didn't put a lot out, but, we talked. Just like I said, by the grace of God, I could have been in there with them.
100%. Now,
it's amazing.
Did you think that there would be, because I know that you said when you got out of Vietnam, there was like
468,000.
Now, were you expecting the amount of veterans the first time we ever went?
Yeah, I still got that photo.
But were you expecting to see that many veterans in 2023 incarcerated?
I wasn't expected to see that many Vietnam veterans. That's what really blew my mind. I know there's always going to be veterans. And it's just a way of life. You go in the military and you come out and you screw up and you end up in prison. When I was there, and the Vietnam veterans that I talked to, and there was about 8 of them. To me, that's way too many to still be in prison. They should be helped. They need help. Can't we help them? But that was the main thing.
That day lit my heart on fire because I was clueless.
Yeah.
To how many veterans were incarcerated.
Right.
And that's what pushed me to get that anger management class.
I'm glad you did that. I'm sure everybody in that, when we went to
the graduation
here, just not too long ago, what they said and the respect that you got from them, just from the class.
There's still more. I mean, I only had 15 graduates.
And how many vets do they have at Pickaway?
Close to 70, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and I can only do a maximum of 15.
Sure.
Because this isn't a cookie cutter class.
No.
This is, and I think that you saw that with their responses. You know, reading some of these testimonies that these guys wrote with the difference in the Vietnam vets that have been in there for 50 years.
Right.
Is insane. Now, let's jump from Pickaway to Chillicothe. And the first time we went to Chillicothe was Veterans Day. And that blew my mind.
Wasn't that something?
Like 27 pews on each side that go all the way back, and every seat was filled. Sure. Realizing, I mean, going from, you know, seeing 50 at our first event to now we're at a bigger prison, and there's 160 incarcerated veterans. Oh my God, man, that was, it was tough.
And then the meeting we went to after that.
Yeah, maybe within a few weeks. Yeah, we got invited back very quick.
You know, and that the way they ran it really good. And the people talking to us, they come up and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And you know, I'm so and so, and shaking our hands. You know, just happy we're there.
Yeah,
because they have a lot of them, like you said, they don't have anybody in the outside. You know, there's a couple of them. Their families like in New Jersey. You know, and you know who I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And they're not here. They can't come here, or they can't send them anything or whatever. And just to have somebody to talk to that understand, you know, their problems that they have. Military. We talked about something here a while back, and I think some of the guys did too. And I can't remember who it was, but they have psychiatric help to the veterans and to the people in the prisons. But the veterans do not want to talk to just anybody. You know, if they're not a veteran psychologist, you don't want to talk to, understands what your problem is. And that, you know, they talk to me or talk to you more than they'll talk to them.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some great opportunity coming up with Chillicothe and in that prison, working in there, you know, going in there to see these guys. I love wearing something representing veterans when I go in there, of course, you know, with the group that we ride with. And it's not to look cool. No. You look really cool in that Vietnam bandana, but you're not wearing that for people to come up and shake your hand and thank you. You're wearing that as a signal. So if another Vietnam vet sees you, they know there's a brother that you guys served. And that's exactly how these guys see us. When we come through, we're that beacon of light, that brotherhood. They're not jumping up and down and clapping their hands because we have veteran shirts on. They know that that's a safe person to talk to. Right. And for people that haven't talked to someone in 10 years, I mean, my God, man, 5 minutes it means so much to them.
Yeah, and I'll sit there as long as I can and talk to them. You know, there's that one guy I talked to, who's a Navy man. I've talked to him every time we go to Chillicothe. The first time we went, what was that? When we got our things from the warden. Remember, giving out the food. And I talked to him for the whole time. I know you were moving around talking to different people. Me and him talked for 2 hours. Everything under the sun.
Goatee beard. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then every time I go back in there, you know, he comes up and we'll sit and talk and talk and talk.
And they're going to actually be watching this.
Oh, good.
So this is a little over 2 hours, but it's been that's been great because there's been so much history that has come about through this, and just to really understand you and know your heart and your good intentions. And man, it's an honor to be your friend, man. It's an honor to call you brother.
Thank you.
And I love you for real. And I'm so thankful for what you've done. Now, as we get ready to close this, what does the prison run mean to you, and what are we doing?
Oh, this prison run. First of all, it's never been done in the state.
It's never been what?
It's never been done. You know, this kind of a run, going around a prison with a bunch of bikes. The Hells Angels do it out there for the people that are incarcerated, but that's their Hells Angels people. We're doing it for veterans. We're doing it to show them support, that we are not forgetting them, that we know who they are. We're going to have a great time. And it's not going to just be our little group. Hopefully, I'm hoping we're having at least 500 bikes.
I'm thinking 500 for sure.
If we have 500 bikes, those guys are going to go just ballistic out there. They're going to just be jumping up and down, going crazy.
Oh, I mean, since it's been announced, they are ecstatic about it. And I you know, there was a 3-week break for the school that I go in there and work with. And the first question that they asked me when I got back, other than how you doing, they're like, how's the prison run going? And these guys are so excited for the events that aren't even going to be happening at the prison, because we're just riding up the service road there right next to, so that they can see that. But they're so pumped to be out there, dress right dress. They want to have their color guard out there with their flags. Like, they are so excited, but they're more excited, at least from my perspective, of hearing about how's the events getting set up, how's all of that going. And, you know, hopefully we'll be able to make a video so that they can see that. But man, it does something to my heart, and I can't explain it, that they're so excited about something that they won't be able to attend. They're not gonna.
No participation.
Yeah, no participation. They get the ride by, and that's why I'm saying, like, the normal ride is $25 for a rider, 10 for a passenger, but we're doing 10 and 10, which is $5 less than the original one rider.
Right.
Because it's not about me. It's not about Chaplain Otto Ministries. This event is bigger than the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association. It's bigger than Mission 22, Save a Warrior, and Stock Hands, who are all involved.
Right.
This is about doing something that's never been done to remind incarcerated veterans on Memorial Weekend. These guys have fallen on the battlefield of life, that they are not forgotten.
That's right.
And I say there's two reasons to that POW patch now. And I see that for the prisoners of war and those missing in action, but we have that stateside, just in a different manner. Prisoners of the war in their own mind, and they are definitely missing in action from the ones that they love. As we close up here, is there anything that you would like to say, especially to the guys at Chillicothe that'll be watching this through the school as soon as it comes out?
Yeah, I just missed you guys. I can't wait until this runs so I get to see you. I know it's going to be through the fence. I can't wait for this run. I'm as pumped as you are, I'm sure. And I'm pushing this guy to just keep on going. Hit him upside the head. If you guys ever watch NCIS and Gibbs hits the nose upside the head, that's what I do to him.
Boom.
Keep us together. It'll be fun. Good times.
So thanks for sticking in with us here and, hearing this amazing story, a veteran, Vietnam veteran, Marine Corps. I mean, you're a hero, man. And you went through some stuff, and I mean that, man. You went through a lot, and 4 helicopter crashes, all of that. Like, you took your platoon there, you brought them all back by the grace of God. You know what I mean? You're a very humble person through the all of those experiences. You see people that didn't do anything that hold it up like they did.
Yeah.
And to know what you did and what you went through and the man that you are today, and that you gave to your country once, but you're giving back to your veterans now, man, that's honorable. And I love you. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll talk to you guys soon.